Everyone, hope you're doing well. West Ham welcome Arsenal to the London Stadium on Saturday night. And please be joined by lead judges, as always, to preview the game, get an Arsenal perspective and see what they're thinking ahead of the match. Lee, can we talk about your season, first of all? How do you think it's going?
It's gone well the last couple of games. I think, all in all, it's not been bad. I think, injuries that haven't helped, but I don't think it's been as bad as what everybody's making it out to be. And I think that Liverpool are having an exceptional run at this moment in time. But if they wasn't, and you'd look at it where we was in the league and where City are and everything there, you wouldn't be that disappointed. So at this moment in time, I think it's been okay. I think over the next 10 games, we know if it's been good enough.
Do you think you're sort of over your bad form? And it was, like you said, you had injuries, so you can put it in the back of your mind. A couple of big wins since the international break. Or do you think, well, how confident are you? You said the next 10 games. How confident are you approaching these 10 games?
If everybody stays fit, very confident. Very confident. My confidence has been in, been boosted by the last couple of performances. I think I was a little bit, there was no meat on the bone to say that Arsenal could go 10 games, win those 10 games before last week. But I think what's happened in the last couple of games, particularly over in Portugal, arguably our best side, bar Ben White, but you could argue with that. It bodes well for us that we've got that team back and options off the bench as well now. So listen, we struggle with injuries, but everybody's has their injury problems. So you have to be able to sort of get through them. We've got through them. Now we've got everybody back fit. If we can go on that run, I'm quietly confident that we can get back into the title race. But we can't afford no drop points in the next 10 games, especially against you boys, because as you well know, the next day City and Liverpool are playing each other, so one or both have got to drop. So it's so important that we don't drop on Saturday.
Going back to the start of the season before a ball was kicked, how did you fancy your title chances?
Yeah, very much so. I thought we'd be really up there this season. I thought, and I still do think that we are. I think that we're not favourites at this moment in time, of course, but I do think that we've, when everybody's fit, I think that we're a real top team, as we proved going on the back end of last season. I think so. I think if we can do that again, I think that. And get on that sort of run, I still think we've got a very, very good chance with everybody fit, but deep down that everybody's not going to stay fit. But what I will say, if our key players stay fit, there's a difference. If those key players stay fit, then I think we have got a very, very good chance.
Do you think your prediction time? Do you think you'll lift some silverware in May? And if so, which one do you?
Listen, we're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup at this moment in time. Home draw against Crystal Palace, so you're not going to be, what's the word? I'm quietly confident. You couldn't be in a better position than that at this moment in time in the League Cup going into those games. There's still some big games, big teams in that. So Manchester City are out there, of course, but. Come on, let's put me Nick on the chopping block here. I think Arsenal Premier League. Come on, let's have it.
I love it. You were my sort of prediction before the ball was kicked. I thought Hughes would win the league because I didn't fancy Man City just through probability. The chances of them winning 5 in a row is very, very difficult. Obviously now they've done 4, it becomes a good chance, but I just didn't fancy City, and I just assumed and thought Hughes would be the ones that would do it. And I liked the signing of Calafiori, and I liked the signing of Timber a year ago, but we didn't really have him last season at all. Yeah. But with him coming back into the team as well, I thought, right, those 2 signings are quite pivotal, actually. And I do, having watched you, timber more than Calafiori, but I do think he makes a significant difference to the way you play. I do rate him quite highly. So
Yeah.
I'm sticking with my pre-season prediction. However, Lee, I will be honest, there's an element of stubbornness about it rather than what I think will happen. I just, Liverpool are clear
Yeah.
favourites, but I'm a stubborn bugger. So I'm going to stick with my pre-season prediction of Arsenal and see what occurs. In regards to your manager, I keep asking you this question, but I think it's a fair one, which is there pressure on him to win something? Because I know he won the FA Cup when he first arrived, spent a lot of money, he's come close to the Premier League title on a couple of occasions now, but I feel as a neutral, like he's got to pick something up sooner, even if it is just the Carabao Cup. I do feel like there's a bit of pressure on him to get that silverware.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. I think that he needs to get some silverware, and pressure should be on him, and not because Liverpool are doing well and everything like that. Liverpool were doing very well last season up until a point, so they're still a very, very good team. So, and I think that if Man City carry on as they're going, and we're not in the mix, which at the moment you would say we're not. But if we were to get in the mix, then I think that will help. But I think if we was not to really mount a sort of challenge in the title, if we would say come April, we're 9 points or even more, dare I say it, behind, I think it's quite rightly that there should be pressure on. Particularly now that he's got everybody back. I do think that Mikel messed up a few times this season. Right? If you look at the league table, forget at the moment, we've only lost 2 games, a few draws in there. That's going to happen with Chelsea and Liverpool. I don't think Chelsea are out of this title race, by the way. They like to think that they are. But there's, it isn't as bad, but he has made mistakes. I think he didn't really, how can I say, not dress is the wrong word. I felt he got a few things wrong when Odegaard was injured. I felt that he could have managed that a little bit better. So, I think if he'd have played maybe Wanyeri and we'd have still not won those games, I think that would have been a little bit more acceptable. But I don't think he found a way. Do you know what I mean? So now Odegaard's come back. We're blooming, but if you're a good manager, you've got to find ways of making the team get over the line. And I think that, as you quite clearly say, he's got to get over the line, not just in those sort of games that I've just spoke about, but long term getting over the line for a title race or something. So, answer to your question, I think yes, he should be under pressure. Will he be? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you in regards to when Odegaard was out. You just didn't look like the same Arsenal when he was missing. And, defensively, you're still solid because you've got, Gabriel Saliba, and then you've got centre-backs playing full-back, and they know their job really well. And then you had arguably more protection in front of them because you didn't have Odegaard. But you were just lacking that anything, really, that creativity, that spark, dictating the play like Odegaard does. And you watch him against Sporting on Tuesday, and he's just taking the piss, really. He's just running the gaff in Portugal, and you're like, bloody hell, this guy is just incredibly good. But like you said, without him, it's difficult. It's a bit like Rodri, Man City, isn't it? They can't replace Rodri.
There are to replace. I get that, and maybe you can't replace, so you look to maybe change it up and go down a different route. I get that, but I don't think it was working. I think with Arsenal, when I look at it, and I've looked at the last 2 games, since he's come in, Odegaard, we're like a very well organised run machine. And if you take out a part of that machine, it don't work so good, so now that that's back in there, all of a sudden, all the pieces come together and it looks good. But I think at times, which is give the manager credit because he's created that machine and created that. But also there are times when it is going to go wrong and you need to just sort it. But I think it's over the last 2 games, you can see, and even the Chelsea game, if I'll be really honest, people haven't give Arsenal, I don't think, as much credit for that performance. We was we was the better team against Chelsea, who were in form and difficult at Stamford Bridge. To get a win there. So, it's like any game in London, going to games, it's not easy. And then people are expecting you to go, we should go and roll Chelsea over. Well, it's not like that. So I think that all the cogs are back in place now. And I think you can see everybody knows exactly what they've got to do. They know when certain player moves into some space, another player comes into different space. It's all very, very calculated and good and works very, very well. Take one of those cogs out and it just goes off beat a little bit. You could say that it goes off beat if Saka doesn't play, so it's all neatly constructed. So and you give him credit for that. But he's just unbelievable at this moment, like, you know what I mean? He's just Odegaard. I can't speak highly enough of not just his performances, but his fitness levels since coming back as well. You know what I mean? He seems to have just not been away, which is it normally takes players. You think it's going to be 2 or 3 games to get him up to speed. He's come back in and just not only played well himself, but he's made the team play well as well.
Anyway, from your team to my team, I mean, kind of a bad time for us for your cogs be back in working, the machines back. But what do you make of West Ham?
I've been disappointed. I felt that made some good signings in the summer. I felt that West Ham would be a little bit better than what they were at this moment in time, but not been shocked by it because you never know. But I just thought West Ham were going to be a lot better than they were this season. A lot of people crying out for the change of manager, which I think maybe run its course. I think I don't as a neutral, I thought David Moyes was doing a great job, but I understand what West Ham fans are saying, my mates as well that are West Ham fans. But one of my closest mates is a West Ham fan, and he's been very, very disappointed with the way it's gone. But when I say to him about it, he goes, "Well, I'm not surprised. You're not, you don't watch it week in, week out." So, which has surprised me that there is a little bit discontent in there with the way that they're playing. I watched West Ham against Chelsea. If I was a West Ham fan, I was appalled by that performance against Chelsea. I no heart, no desire. They just come to the London Stadium, just walked in and walked out with the points. That's not West Ham. That's not West Ham. So maybe it's going to take a little bit of time for the manager. But then I think no one really give anybody would have said, West Ham would go up to Newcastle win. Take it from me. I know as an Arsenal fan, that's not easy. Gone up there on a Monday night, difficult place. At the best of times, I think it's probably even more difficult under the lights midweek or a night game. Not breezed it, but brilliant performance. So this is what I think. Maybe you guys are a little bit frustrated when you see performance, that the players can do it, and that's the case. So it makes for an intriguing game that if both teams now have hit a little bit of form, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that West Ham would be a little bit disappointed with the way things have gone this season. I'm surprised. I thought they'd be a lot higher up than what they are.
You, when we've had you on previously, you've always been, as you have been just now, very kind to David Moyes. What did you make of the appointment of Lopetegui, and what have you made of him since joining?
Do you know what? I think that it's a difficult one. I don't, I've got nothing against him. I don't. If I'll be really honest, I don't. If I was a West Ham fan, I don't think he's the sort of would be the West Ham fit, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't be like, I would have probably gone for someone a little bit younger, a little bit more flamboyant. If you've gone from the David Moyes, I think you've gone up a little bit, but not all the way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying with that? So, which surprised me a little bit. But yeah, I think he's a decent manager, but I don't think he's the manager what West Ham want and where West Ham want to go to, if you know what I mean. I don't really want to be disrespectful. I thought he'd done a great job at Wolves, as I said, but I do think West Ham are a big club, big fan base, massive stadium. I think maybe their ambition should be a little bit higher. That's my opinion. I don't want to criticise him too much.
Come May, where do you expect West Ham to be?
I always think West Ham should be aiming for Europe. As I said, I think if I don't know, I think if West Ham were top, say 10th, I would feel that would be a little bit disappointing for a West Ham fan. I think maybe a little bit higher. I think they should be challenged. When you see teams in the Premier League like Aston Villa, for instance, challenging for top 4 and getting top 4, Brighton up there at this moment in time. As a West Ham fan, I would be thinking, well, if they can do it, we certainly should be So I do think that, challenging for a title will probably, is difficult. Arsenal have only challenged in the last 20 years 3 or 4 times. So to ask West Ham to be doing that would be maybe unrealistic. But I think that challenging for the top 6, top 4, I think West Ham should be up there by now doing that. I've got some bloody good players, West Ham as well, by the way, and a very, very loyal crowd. And the one thing I would say about West Ham, they can be turned. They can be turned very, very easily. But if you I remember 2 years ago when we was 2-0 up and you come back to 2-2. The crowd was right up for it and go for it. And I would have to say that the 2 games before the previous one, I know you won't really want to talk about, but West Ham fans were right up for it in those games as well. So, I think they should be a lot. Certainly should be where you are now is not good enough. You know what I mean? But listen, couple of wins and it wouldn't look so bad, would it? I know that you've got a favourable amount of fixtures coming up, and just beating off what my West Ham mate's saying. It's a little bit at home that it's been a little bit disappointing. Few too many draws in that, but I think realistically, I think getting above Spurs has got to be a good.
That's always the aim, isn't it? I think if we can do that, I'll be happy, Lee. In regards to Saturday night, then, how do you see this game going?
Do you know what? Tough game. I do think it's going to be a tough game. 2 reasons. 3. I say it's North. It's a derby game, North versus East, so it's always tough. Declan Rice factor, I think, changed things between the clubs. I really do. I think there's a little bit of more animosity between the 2 clubs now than there was. And thirdly, I think that form is a little bit but there's pressure on us to win the game. I don't know West Ham. I think West Ham, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you got a draw, but for us it is. So I think that they're the factors in it. But I must admit, I'll go there with a lot more confidence after the last 2 games. I think if this was I know it is unbelievable, the old cliche of what a difference a week makes in football, but it does. I think if we was going last Saturday, I was going into the Nottingham Forest game nervous, not really looking forward to it. But now we picked up the win there. So if it was going to West Ham last week, I'd be very, very nervous and not that confident. But the last 2 games have given me confidence going into the game. Give a lot of confidence. Yeah,
I completely agree with you. I mean, on Monday going to play Newcastle away, I was convinced we were getting smashed, Lee. I was thinking, I've got nothing here. We've just struggled to draw against Everton before the international break. We finished 0-0 at home to Everton. The week before that, we got smashed 3-0 by Forest. So I was dreading that Newcastle game, but we went there, won comfortably in the end, and then suddenly it's like Arsenal next. And if you asked me for a prediction for this game on Monday, I would have probably said that, I don't know, 4 or 5-0 Arsenal. I thought it could have been a repeat of last season, really, if you really wanted it. But now I'm a bit more optimistic and I'm looking forward to it. I don't think we'll win. And you said a point would be good for it. I would take a point now if you offered it. So I said, yes, please. That's all right. 4 points from Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. That's a good point haul from those 2 games. Then we've got Leicester at home next. Bring it on. I know they've got Van Nistelrooy, but they've still got one of the worst squads in the Premier League, and we should still be beating them regardless of who their manager is. I still fancy your chances against Leicester at home. So I'm looking up rather than down. So I'm a bit more optimistic. I'm looking forward to this game, which is not something I could have said on Monday morning. And we're recording this on Thursday afternoon. So my mood's changed drastically in the space of one 90-minute performance at St. James's Park. But if your moods ain't going to change with that, then I don't know what will change your mood to some extent. If you can't watch you win away to Newcastle comfortably and think, I'm a bit looking forward to the game a bit more now, then don't know what is going to make you get up for it. Can I get? I know you always back Arsenal anyway, but I think this one is a genuine prediction from you rather than out of hope. But what's your score prediction?
Generally, I think 2-0. I think that I don't see it being like last season. I'd love to see it be like that. You know what I mean? But if we can hit that sort of form, that would be fantastic. I think that West Ham. Didn't play bad. They didn't deserve to lose 6-0. I think you just caught us on a good day. That's what Arsenal can do. And we've got, if we play as well as what we did on Tuesday night, I think we'll be okay. But I think you can listen. I'm not going to go there thinking this is a definite guaranteed 3 points. We're going to have to play well, and we're going to have to work for it. And as I said, West Ham have got players that can hurt you as well. So, but I'm backing us that we've just hit that little bit of form. Everybody's back fit, and also the big guns look like they're hitting form as well. So I'm very optimistic. I would be optimistic if we was going anywhere at this moment in time on the back of the last 2 games. You know, it's weird in football. I remember going to Manchester City a couple of months back now and going, there's no way we're going to lose this game. I was convinced because of the team and everything like that. We're now in a better position with all our players back. So I've got to say that, I can't see us not getting something from the game. But the problem being for me as a fan is, and what I'm worried about is that, West Ham could probably just go, do you know what, we're sitting. I'm not saying that they will, but I'm just saying, they've got to win this game, try and put, make a mistake, get themselves open at the back, and pressure be told. If Arsenal can start off well and get an early goal, that will be, I'm always relieved then, do you know what I mean? So we won't take too many risks. So that first 20, 25 minutes is going to be key.
Well, Lee, thank you very much. You guys at home, I'm sure you know who Lee is, but on the off chance you don't, the link to his social media profiles are in the description below. Lee, thank you very much for joining me.
No problems.
You guys at home, if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, comment by clicking thumbs up, subscribing to Hammers Chat, and we'll catch you in a bit.